Petri dish, a Petri dish, the Petri dish. This is the Petri dish, the Petri dish, the Petri dish. This is the Petri dish. There's something brewing in here, and you know what that is today. It's brain problems. Another solo podcast for that ass. And for that ass, I mean your ass, whoever has decided to continue this second life of the Petri Dish podcast. You know, this is the podcast that's just whatever's going on in the Petri Dish household, mainly centered around me, your host, Bobby Benedict. Hello, friends. I hope the video watchers of you see me constantly zooming in and exploding within this quasar that I've put as my background, because I am the center of the universe. I'm just kidding. My God complex isn't in full force today, but I am not nearly as defeatist and despondent as my previous solo podcast, which is pretty solid. It is now the year of our Lord 2023. Couldn't tell you what that means. I've made resolutions. That's what they're called. I made resolutions in the past. I've tried to do things, but boy, it doesn't really work out, because as you may know, dear listener, a whole year doesn't exactly always work out the way you want it to. And I know I've seen a lot of people experiencing that same come to Jesus moment. I don't know how to explain it other than weird church terms, but that's what we're doing today. Welcome to the church of me saying stuff, friends. So, for those of you on video, I am covered in dots of rain. You are welcome. It is storming outside once again. I thought about doing this podcast yesterday, and then I thought I'd rather play a bunch of Zomboid. So if you've been hanging out on Twitch with me, I know you haven't. It's fine. You probably have seen me playing some of this zombie game that my brother-in-law Graham got me into. He actually got it for me and Alicia on Steam so that we would play with him, and he set up a server, and I was like, you did all the heavy lifting. I'm there. So I've died like 6 times. Everyone else has died either none times or just like once in this big raid we were doing, trying to get all the videotapes and books we could get for learning stuff in the game. I have died the dumbest ways possible. I'm going to be putting up I'm not going to put up the full streams of the videos, just because that's not really my style. You can watch those streams on Twitch if you really care that much about the whole thing. I am going to be making edits of them so that, we can have I'm aiming for 12 to 15 minute videos of hey, here's me playing a zombie game. Here's anything funny and or interesting I may have said. And then probably me dying. So far, each video has ended with me dying at about the hour mark. Not planned, not produced this way. I just get antsy after about an hour and think, maybe I can go do this, and die immediately. Which really, isn't that just a metaphor for real life? Isn't that bleak? I can't think of anything that I have tried that hasn't imploded and, completely folded in on itself after that hour mark, emotionally, whatever it may be. Most of the time it's me moving to a different state or place after 6 years. Haven't done that. That's pretty cool. Quitting comedy has happened multiple times. I think I'm coming back. You don't ever quit comedy. You just kind of stop going to open mics and hope people book you, which is the same as quitting in this world because, if you're not right in front of someone's face, they're not going to know what you're doing. And I understand. I have people that have not been in front of my face that I still care about deeply, but also I got nothing going on up top. I don't know what I'm doing, so we'll link up again eventually, I hope. We'll see. Maybe those people will be guests on this podcast. Bringing back all the classics. You know, all your favorite guests. Yeah, that one. And that one. I don't have the phone line going anymore, or else I'd say call in. But, that's for you. Don't call in. Don't call in. It's bad for you. Been ignoring all my phone calls. Sorry, Jonathan. He's called me twice being like, hey, let's talk. Let's fucking catch up. I just haven't. You know why? I got them broken brainesses. My brain is busted again. Which is a terrible excuse to use against a guy who has literally come on this podcast to explain how his brain is broken. But let me tell you why mine is busted. I keep forgetting to take my medication, like my, whatever it is, the Lexapro. No, it's not Lexapro. Whatever the fuck it is that I take. I've been taking it steady for like pretty much the whole pandemic, like 3 years. I've been taking it steady for quite a while. Go back in the podcast archive, see when I first started talking about it. Who the fuck knows? Either way, I'll forget a day or two. Sometimes, and that's fine. Like you just take your regular dose over again. But I forgot for almost a whole week, and I re-experienced a sensation that I haven't felt since I quit. I quit Lexapro cold turkey back in like 2016. Bad choice. Don't ever do that on a like a SSRI or any sort of mental health medicine. Don't do that. You'll get what's called the brain zaps, where you'll just kind of be sitting around hanging out and then realize you haven't been conscious this whole time. Not like, ooh, I was unconscious, but like I was outside of my body, and you just kind of go like, oh, I'm here. I'm re-driving this vehicle. It's like falling asleep on the road when you're really tired and you don't realize how tired you are until you realize no one was driving just now. And you're like, ah, I'm here. You know, like after you hit the rumble strip. Except there's no rumble strips up here. There's no rumble strips up here. You just get the kind of crazy where you start hacking skin tags off of your body because you are manic. If you, any of my visual listeners might see a Band-Aid on my neck in the YouTube video, maybe I took a toenail clipper to one of my neck skin tags because it kept catching on my t-shirt. That's the kind of crazy I am right now. Just chop off your body parts that you don't need. It's fine. We do it all the time. So aside from performing amateur surgery on myself after not properly medicating, just fucking broke. Gotta get a new job one of these days. Had an interview on Monday. That was nice. It's not my favorite. It's a good job. It's a contract position, so it's not permanent, but I kind of want something permanent. I applied to be a technical writer for Pokemon Go. I don't know if this is interesting to anybody. And I tried to equate my knowledge of avionics and vision systems. That's probably about all I can say about that. Those are the only releases that I think they made public. But aside from that, I have skill in avionics and vision systems, and I was trying to write a convincing enough cover letter to say, hey, you guys work in ARG kind of stuff, alternate reality gaming, alternate reality things, the kind of thing where you can look on your phone at a park, you know, but you hold your phone up and, ooh, there's a big thing over there, but only in this alternate reality, that kind of thing. I was like, I literally did this for helicopters, but for like seeing through dust storms, you know? So like, I was like, hey, add a Pokemon ball in there. They could be playing Pokemon Go in their fucking Black Hawk helicopters. So hire me. They immediately said no. But I'm just going to keep applying because I'm assuming they are too big to realize how many times I'm applying. What else is going on? Alicia's still working all day, all the time, even though, as she expressed in the previous podcast, she's just looking for a little part-time gig, something to keep herself going, and she is working full-time. It's unfortunate because all she wants to do is the same thing I'm currently doing, which is just playing zombies and eating whatever snacks may be lying around. I don't know if I like being unemployed or if I just like freedom. You know what I mean? And it's also not even that I have freedom anymore. I feel more constrained than ever, but my weird autistic brain is like, perfect. There's mission parameters with which to survive. So I've been doing pretty good at it, except for the rampant, errant Uber Eats purchases. But those are always existing. I think I talked on podcast once. I don't know if I ever talked on podcast once about this, but I think it's time to air myself out. There was one year, I'm not going to say which year, but it wasn't recent. It was back when I had my cool job. But there was a year that I spent like $2,000 in Uber Eats purchases. Which, like, over a whole year, maybe it doesn't seem like a lot, but that is too much money on fast food delivery, And it's not like I'm not rich. I'm just that irresponsible, which is crazy. Even though I had a 401k, I got a mortgage, I'm a big fancy adult person, but also I'm still like a unregulated child at heart. Like, I will eat a whole pack of bacon on a mood because I am bad at taking care of myself, as we've seen on the podcast. You remember the double-decker hot dog sandwich that made me have to get an EKG, and they were like, "You got bad heart. Sorry." That's not exactly what they said. They were just like, "We don't know what's wrong with you. Go away." And then they sent me a bill for a bunch of money. So, I don't know. Don't go to the doctor. Lob body parts off if you're feeling manic about it. Some people go crazy and, like, dye their hair a different color. I go crazy and chop off parts of my anatomy that I deem unneedable. Oh, on the video, you can see my beard swirl down here on my neck. I really got to, I'm just going to play with it. I'm just going to play with this on camera. That's what this podcast is becoming. Me playing with myself on camera. Don't go there. That's enough of that. Starbucks. We had a gift card. I promise it's not more irresponsible shit. Okay. What have I been up to? Honestly, I have not been up to much. I've been up to trying to keep the podcast consistent, but I couldn't do that. Over the winter break, I had a couple podcasts come out before the year ended, and then after the year ended, we were just in a power outage for like a week. There was a huge storm, literally New Year's Eve, December 31st, and I think it even started before that. It was like a day or two before that. It was heavy rain and snow, but totally shut down everything. Power line went down outside of our house, and they just told us not to go near it for like 4 days as our power was out. So we didn't have power New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and then the day after that. And then on the fourth day, our power finally came back. But then unfortunately, that power also knocked out our modem, so I didn't have internet for a full-ass other day. And then by then it was already like Wednesday or Thursday. I don't remember. I don't keep track of days. I am unemployed. But I knew that it was past podcast day. And Alicia even reminded me. She was like, "Did you record a podcast yesterday?" I was like, "No, we didn't have power or internet." And she was like, "Oh, yeah." Like, you were there, man. Come on. But it did remind me. It was a good reminder to know, like, hey, somebody wants the podcast to happen, and that's all I need is any slight amount of outside motivation. And I know that that's unhealthy. I believe I talked about this in the 2019 God Complex years about internal versus external locus of control, and you should always be driven by your own internal sense of what you think you should be doing, and not by the external forces that make you feel like you should be doing something. because you can quickly lose control of that and end up feeling like you aren't measuring up to other people's expectations when that shouldn't be important. But also, sometimes external motivation is much more powerful than the internal motivation that may or may not exist on any given day. So that's enough psychology corner. You guys remember when we were deep diving into psychology? That was a fucking year. Now I just be sad about stuff regular style and then don't do the podcast. So that's the thing. I try not to use the podcast as a fucking diary anymore. Even though that's exactly what it's becoming, even worse now. But I don't know. I used to consider this a comedy podcast. I still do. I try to be funny. I'm so fucking funny. I'm so fucking funny. Don't even. Anyway, but it's less comedy and just more like lightheartedness, playfulness, joy, jocularity. You know, we got little kitty cats. People that aren't watching on the video on YouTube cannot see sweet kitty cat. That's Captain Catherine Janeway, the Federation Starship Voyager. She's sweet baby. She crawls through this window that I have open so I can hear the storm going on. I feel one of my Band-Aids filling with blood underneath my shirt and may or may not have chopped off something too big. That's gruesome to think about. Sorry, listener, that you have to think about my weird body horror modification hooks in my back. Not really, but removal. I'm on the side of TikTok that's weird. I don't know if you guys... I mean, I know a lot of people don't fuck with TikTok unless you're like a young person. I am not young, but I do love technology. So I've got TikTok, and it's got me cornered. That algorithm just has me fucking boxed in. It's like, oh, do you want to watch a cop doing something they shouldn't be doing? Here you go. And then after that, you want to watch a fucking 5-minute weird removal video of either like blackheads or like a ear thing. Oop, left my phone on. I'm a professional. And then it was actually someone I haven't talked to in a while. That's actually that's good. I got something to look forward to when I stop doing the podcast. Not permanently, just for today. But God, this thing is, the itches, the part that I chopped off. Anyway, what was I talking about? That's how this podcast is going. Fuck it. Scrap everything I've been saying. Let's move on. Band update. I've been doing music things all of last year, you know, when I wasn't doing comedy because I was so sad. I instead transitioned to just doing music stuff, wrote a full album of music that I've been back and forth with my producer on, and he's still just like, some of these don't make sense. And I'm like, valid, and I've been trying to fix them. Working on the Nashville tracks that Brian and I recorded. Trying to get those mastered for vinyl, but also just for general release, get it out there. Maybe we can make up the vinyl back end if people digital purchase or listen to it. There's some good tracks in there. We made some good fucking songs, and I focused all last year like on those songs, and then I toured on some of those tracks. I got some videos out of me doing it. Like, I didn't do nothing, which is... I'm kind of proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that, like, even in my sad, like, I'm gonna quit comedy, everyone's gonna fucking miss this genius on the stage. Even in that thought process, I still managed to be extremely creative in another facet, and I would even say successfully, doing something else. And that's a good thing to have. So a lot of people don't have that for their creative endeavors, so I'm happy. And I started up the video and the streaming and the getting content put out on YouTube semi-consistently. I like that I'm doing that because that's the exact thing that I've been trying to get jobs for, but I don't have any experience, quote unquote experience in it, because I have not been I have not been proud enough of some previous output to then like make YouTube content off of it or keep it around. I am frequently deeply ashamed of creative things that I've done almost immediately in the past. You know, like anything I do, if I am not currently excited about it, I am extremely embarrassed by it. So then I try to hide it. And that's not good for creating a portfolio. So here I am, laying it all out there, letting everyone pick through the wares of my flea market content creator strategy. Just buy up whatever and shove it out there, let it get sun bleached. You know what I mean? That's my new strategy, is just start doing it. That's been my strategy for everything. Just start doing it. You'll get better, and eventually, if you learn enough, if you actually try and learn, you'll get good at it. I did that with drumming back when I used to be a drummer. Got good enough. I got just good enough. Our band played a little, like Warped Tour after party thing up in Alaska. That was cool as fuck. And I became a passable drummer. And then I did the same thing with being a singer-songwriter. I was like, hey, drums, not my thing anymore, even though I took percussion for like 4 years in high school. And then I switched it up. I was like, hey, you know what? I'm a songwriter now. And I fucking did it. I'm a really good songwriter. It's crazy. I went to a studio in Nashville that Martina McBride built with her own 2 hands with bricks and mortar. Not exactly true, but either way, still recorded it. Gaslight Anthem recorded their good albums there. Mountain Goats recorded a couple of their latest albums that I really liked, including, I think, Goths. Andrew Eldritch is moving back to Leeds. I recorded in that same studio, motherfuckers. That's cool as shit. I would say, fairly successful singer-songwriter. And then I was like, hey, fuck this guitar being in front of me. What if I was just on stage saying shit? And I did that for a solid 5, almost 6 years. I don't know that I've ever shared the history of my comedy upbringing. I've always been fascinated with stand-up comedy. I've always been a fan of comedy, improv, sketch, and stand-up, all of it. From watching Premium Blend and Comedy Central Presents things when I was growing up, because I used to live in Hawaii, and we were 3 hours ahead of everyone else. So, like, all the adult stuff that was supposed to come on Comedy Central was just at, like, 4 or 5 o'clock where I was, so I was watching dope shit. Grew up on that. I grew up on Whose Line Is It Anyway? I was always watching internet sketches, like I used to directly go to singing comedians' websites. I used to go to Stephen Lynch and BobRicci.com. Both of those guys. They are not equal in any facet. Only one of them exists still in my brain. Stephen Lynch can actually tour like other places. Bob Ricci, I'm pretty sure probably just works at like a 7-Eleven or like a Verizon now. But I used to go to his website almost every day and just play Newgrounds Flash games while listening to his parody songs. Like, I was in it for the comedians that I enjoyed. Sketch comedy. I still remember, I count Homestar Runner in, it's like digital sketch comedy. It was great. I used to go to Baratz and Beretta. They were a great little, both musical and, they really didn't do much music. I do remember Maxwell Dorian Valedictorian, though. That was a, John LaJoie, back when, his Two Girls, One Cup song hit me back in the day. That's a beautiful love song, with the exception of all the words. And then, of course, going back around to things like Saturday Night Live, which led to things, Mad TV, the Evil Step sibling. What else did I use? All sorts of shit. And then one of my later influences, The Whitest Kids You Know, really gave me a penchant for irreverent comedy. And I just happened to live in South Dakota around the same time as one of my favorite sketch people, Timmy Williams. Shout out Timmy. And I was just starting stand-up at an open mic that I was doing music at every week. because one of my friends was like, hey, I was going to be gone for like a week. You know, I was doing a trip with my dad, so I was going to be gone for a week. He's like, hey, take a week. We'll both write a bunch of stand-up jokes, and we'll get up here in 2 weeks, and we'll do them. And I was like, bet. So I spent that whole car ride being like, how come California has fruit check stands, but they just waved me through? Did they just think we were too fat to eat fruit? Things like that. It was a solid premise, actually. I might, who knows? But that was like the first joke I wrote. And I went up on stage at that open mic, and my buddy was like, hey, full disclosure, I didn't write any stand-up and almost immediately forgot about that bet. I was like, hey, you were the fire under my ass to just do it. Shout out Ray. Hey, thanks for accidentally making me start stand-up by myself. Started going to the open mics in Sioux Falls, about an hour south of me, so I get a little more experience. But when I was living in Sioux Falls, I became good friends with the owners of the little record shop down there called Total Drag. Great venue. And I was playing there sometimes twice in a weekend just to be like, I'll open, so I was tight with them. And then I saw good old Timmy Williams was doing a little stand-up show there. And I was like, hey, need another opener? And they were like, yeah, all right, come on down. So then, like, I'm like a month into stand-up. I am not good. But I get to meet Timmy, and he's like, hey, people are always, saying they're not good. Just get up there and do your best. So I get up there, I do my best. It's all right. I brought people. Talked about barfing up steak chunks on a Valentine's Day. Did my little jokes. Got out of there. It wasn't the best. I didn't get much laughter. Lots of people standing around staring at me, waiting for me to say something funny. But I watched all through everyone else's sets that night. Got to watch good old Andy Swan, who's another legend over in that Sioux Falls place. I still remember his stupid fucking Gambit bit that he did on stage, where he would do a card. I don't want to spoil his shit. Either way, great stuff. Watch Timmy. Lots of Star Wars references. Fucking great. And I just fucked off. I was like, hey, show's over. I was just enjoying the show. I almost completely forgot I opened the show, and so I just fucked off back home. And Timmy messaged me on Facebook. He's like, hey, I didn't pay you for your set. I was like, I was supposed to get paid? And so he hits me up to like fucking pay me. And he was like, hey, I got a gig in your town at your college that you just graduated from. Do you want to open? I was like, they never let me perform. I'm fucking down. So Timmy chases me down to pay me and gives me another gig. And it was great. I didn't really know enough people at the college anymore, so I didn't do well. But brought him up, and, not to say that Timmy didn't do well, but I'm glad that I warmed the audience up enough to, like, have them react to him at all. So it was one of those college gigs where it's like, wow, this was free for the people that were in the audience. But either way, we took our licks, got off stage, he paid me for both shows, and he was like, hey, you're doing all right. And it just happened to be the Thursday of my open mic, and I was like, hello, Mr. Williams. I am friends with you now. Would you like to come to this open mic? And he was like, yeah, fuck it. He wasn't doing anything. Gig night, he probably already had a babysitter. And he just came to hang out with me and my friends at this fucking open mic. And it was cool as shit. I did more stand-up, badly. And he told me that I reminded him of his old friend from when he was doing comedy in Portland. And that friend happened to be one of my favorite comedians, Ian Carmel, who hadn't even released his album 9.2 on Pitchfork yet. But that was coming out shortly after I was told that he was reminded of him by my performances. And I was like, thank you. I will Google that immediately. And so that's how I started stand-up, was just like, I gave it a shot. I got in touch with a venue that I respected, and they were like, you do you. And then Timmy just kind of like said, hey, you're not the worst person to hang out with. Let's fucking do stuff. And before I left South Dakota, literally the night I was moving, I had the entire week before this last show I had in South Dakota, I was loading up a U-Haul for my sister and her husband, like just getting them all set to move. And they took a U-Haul, and I was just going to clean out the rest of the house and shove it all in my van. And so I pack my van with, like all my band equipment, all my shit, and I drive over to this venue because Timmy was like, hey, you weren't the worst. I have another friend, good old Sean Jordan, one of my other favorite current stand-ups. He was like, I need a show. I need a show in Brookings where I was living. Let's do something. So I put together a show. They both killed it. It was really cool to talk to both of them, to do a little meet-up and see how the real comedians play. It was just a bunch of sad 30-year-olds hanging out in a bar. What else did you do? Except I was 24 at the time or whatever. I've always been a sad 30-something. Either way, it's like the night that I'm leaving South Dakota forever, ever. I'm putting on an amazing show with Timmy Williams and Sean Jordan. And then I just drive off into the night like, hey, great show, everybody. Drive to Reno for forever. Crazy. And then when I got to Reno, I was like, I tried to do some music. The open mics weren't really feeling me. It was, one of those things where it's like, I'm not part of the scene, so they're not really going to give me stage time. It's like a draw. Ooh, maybe we'll draw you out of a hat tonight. No, thanks. But I would go to the stand-up gigs, and I was like, I've only been doing stand-up for like a year, but here's who I've opened for. They're like, that's who you've opened for? Like, what the fuck? I was like, yeah, we're both trapped in South Dakota. It happens. And that was how I started stand-up, was if it wasn't for Timmy Williams, I wouldn't have made the mistake of doing stand-up for so long, you piece of shit. I'm just kidding. So, I guess this is all just to say, thanks, Timmy. You showed me I was funny enough to do stand-up, even though I was already a decently successful singer-songwriter and a passable drummer at one point. Now I have no drumming skill, much more stand-up skill. And I'm going to use all that to now be a fucking podcaster and streamer. Speaking of drumming, I bought an electronic drum set. I don't know if you guys can see it back here in the YouTube video, but I bought one. I might do a drum stream of like me trying to get better again. There was one point when I was living in South Dakota that I almost started a drumming-based comedy variety show. I believe the video still exists out there of me doing like a cover. I was doing a drum cover of Lady Gaga's Poker Face. And then I also was trying to do some Daniel Johnston, like try out this weird beat on YouTube, and I edited it and it was very funny. But I don't know. I just wanted to talk about Timmy Williams. He's been in my mind lately because I've been watching a lot of Whitest Kids You Know streams. If you haven't watched them on their Twitch, it won't be your style probably, but I enjoy it. So, you do what you can. So hey, there you go. That's my beginnings in art and creation, and now I'm trying to leverage those skills to get employment in places like Mythical. I applied to Mythical Entertainment to be a producer. That wasn't going to happen. I don't even live in Burbank. I did the same with Smosh, owned by Mythical. And it's like, I've been applying to places like, let me be a producer or a creator of some sort. And they're like, why? Like, oh, we're just going to give you money to pursue your dream job, even though you're not good at it. So that's the crazy God complex I got going right now. Yeah, chopping off body parts, applying to dream jobs, just doing the damn thing. I think that's enough podcast for today. I don't like to make the solo ones fucking longer than 30 minutes because that's too much talking for one person. So, let's see. You guys got some updates there. I'll probably play some zombies. What else? Check out Sad Giants on all platforms. Go watch Timmy Williams do stuff on Twitch with the official WKUK Twitch channel. Here, have a fart. Don't know if you could hear it. Hope you can. That's what this podcast is now, just a bunch of farts. All right. Well, that's more than I cared to give anybody at all. So I'm going to tend to my various wounds, and you guys stay chill and don't chop off any body parts on my counsel. Thank you, and spay and neuter your pets.